and welcome to the Shrewton Primary School podcast, What Do You Do? Hosted by myself, Emily Malord, head teacher, and the pupils of Shrewton Primary School. We are here to ask the questions that you want answered. Covering careers from writing to nursing and everything in between, we want you to be inspired by the people who love what they do every day. So, ask anything. Would you like to know their most successful moment, the favourite part of their job, or maybe the barriers they've had to overcome to get to where they are today? No question is off limits. We hope you enjoy what this series has to offer and look forward to hearing your feedback. But for now, sit back, listen and enjoy. Our second podcast guest is someone you will have seen around school on multiple occasions before now. Chief Executive of the Diocese of Salisbury Academy Trust, Mark Lacey answers questions from our Year 5 and 6 pupils. Previous to this, he was head teacher for 12 years at a primary school, a big primary school in Bristol. And fascinating fact, he actually gave Mrs. Howell her first ever teaching job. And obviously she's one of our teachers now. He has a wife and 4 children who I believe are all teenagers. And in his spare time, he enjoys running. He likes to rack up the kilometres, way more than I can. Maybe we should be getting him to do our Run for the Rocket. And he also likes to go out on his bike. So let's see how he answers your questions. Okay, welcome Mr. Lacey to the Shrewton podcast, What Do You Do? It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Good. Thank you for agreeing to be our second guest. Obviously, we know you very well from being our chief executive of our trust. So it's nice to talk to somebody that's so close to us.
Good. You're going to find out more, I'm sure.
Hopefully. All of your questions today come from our amazing Year 5-6 children, and they're very keen to know where your journey started right back in your childhood when you were their age. So the first question for you today is from Bill Ashton, and he would like to know something in your life that inspired you when you were a child on your journey to where you are now.
Okay, it's a really good question. So it was a long time ago now, but when I was in Year 5-6, actually, I had a really significant time in my life because we moved house and we moved a long way away. So I was born in Essex, not too far from London. I don't tell many people that. It's a bit of a secret, really, when you're born in Essex. But we moved then up to the Midlands, and my dad's job changed, and I went to a school, and it was really, really tough because everybody talked very differently to how I talked, and they used to tease me a lot, and I used to find that quite hard, really. So. That was a really difficult stage of my life, but actually it was really helpful in terms of giving you more confidence, helping you to build and get better at doing things. And I had a music teacher. I never thought I would say that this man inspired me, actually, but thinking about it, he did. And I used to play the tenor horn, and then I grew up to play the tuba, which is a big brass instrument. If you want to go and have a look at what that might be. And he was completely and utterly bonkers. He had great big sweeping hair, and he had a big scraggy beard, and he used to do all sorts of weird and wacky things. But actually, in that time, he gave me real confidence to have a go at playing this musical instrument. And actually, as I grew up, that gave me real credibility. It was something that I was really able to do very well. Something I had quite a lot of success at, and I'll always remember him for the way that he inspired me in that way. Amazing.
I think all the bonkers people out there are quite special.
There's quite a few of you, aren't there? Yeah.
Actually, you sort of covered Jack's question there as well, which is who inspired you. But what I think is really important to pick out from that is that we talk a lot about Shrewton, about roadblocks and barriers along our journey, and how even when you're really good at something, it doesn't it doesn't still come easily all the time. There's still points where you have to really persevere and push through that. So it's nice to hear that you've got experience of that as well.
And with that particular thing, I had to practice lots and lots, absolutely loads. And I hadn't really found until that point what I was good at. You know, there were also, I tried playing football. I wasn't very good at that. I tried being the goalie, and I wasn't very good at that. I was the reserve in the school chess team, so I wasn't very good at that either. But suddenly I found this thing that I could do, which was really great.
So also really important then to just sort of like make sure your interests are really diverse, and while you're young, get into as many things as you can until you find that one thing, because that might not have been quite an obvious thing for you to get into at that point in your life.
Yeah, no, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. So moving on from that, Evie wanted to know, when you were their age in year 5 and 6, is there anything that you thought you might like to be at that point in your life, and any particular subjects that sort of you chose during your secondary journey that tailored that towards that thing that you thought you might want to be?
I don't know. At that stage, I changed quite a few times, I think, between different things that I would have liked to have done. I was quite keen on the music, as I say, and I wondered about becoming a music teacher and doing that sort of thing. I had a period when I quite fancied being a police officer, quite fancied going into the police force. So I thought about that, and I was always quite good at maths, so I always enjoyed doing maths and that sort of thing. So I wondered about doing things like accountancy and banking and those sorts of things. So I looked into all those different areas as I was growing up. And I guess as I went through secondary school, those were the sorts of things that I chose my subjects around. I mean, I had to do maths, so that wasn't a problem for me, but I chose to do things like music as well. And I kept my options open all the way through school, really, so that I could do a range of different things. And I don't know whether this will go into another question that you want to ask later, but I actually decided when I went to university that I wanted to be an accountant. That was what I was going to do. So I went to university and I did a business degree, and that was something I thought I wanted to do, was to do accountancy and all the rest of it. And then I became a teacher.
So Archie wants to know how you got into teaching. So what was it then, that moment that took you from being an accountant to not being one?
So I know that some of the children will have parents who are accountants, and so I don't want to upset anybody, but I found it really, really boring. I really didn't enjoy it, so I went to university and I did a degree, and I went to Bath University actually and did my business degree there, and I had an opportunity as part of that to work as a trainee accountant for a year. So I actually had a great opportunity to try it out and test it out, and there were bits of it that I really liked, and I got offered a job at the end of it. But I just decided that I wanted to do more work with children and young people, because I'd always done quite a bit of work with children and young people through my church activities. So I'd done Sunday schools and youth clubs and camps and all that sort of thing. And actually, two other people that inspired me throughout my life, of course, were my mum and dad, and they were both teachers. And I think perhaps they kind of thought perhaps I ought to try something different and encouraged me down a different route, but I couldn't get away from it. I just loved working with children, working with young people, and so in my final year of my degree, I actually did quite a bit of study around leadership and management in education, which ties in with the business degree in that sense. And I applied to be a teacher, and they let me in. And I went to Bath Spa University, which is where all the best teachers are trained.
Absolutely, all the best teachers train at Bath Spa.
Yeah, so it wasn't called that in those days, because that was many hundreds of years ago. But it was great, and I loved it. And off I went into teaching.
Fun fact, as a bit of a tangent, but Mary Berry also attended Bath Spa when it was domestic college. And
it wasn't that long ago. Is that what you're
No, I'm saying I shared the stage with Mary Berry in our graduation. She spoke, and then so did I. Amazing. So actually, there's another question, and lots of them. I can't name just one child because lots of them wanted to know this. They wanted to know your biggest success or failure at the time when you decided to step away from accountancy and go into teaching. Did it feel like a failure? Because it was quite a risk. Did it feel like you were failing at the time, or did you know that it was something worth doing that would become a better success?
No, it didn't feel like a failure at all, and actually it didn't feel like I'd wasted that time at university either. I as I say, I was offered a job, and it was me that decided to turn that down. I ended up doing what I really wanted to do. So, I might have been able to earn more money, and some of my friends went off into really high paid jobs in London and all the rest of it, but I was just doing what I wanted to do, and that was great from my point of view. But the greatest achievement that I ever had was one of my GCSEs. I was really bad at one subject when I was at secondary school, and that was pottery. Okay.
Oh wow, that was a subject. Okay.
Yeah, it was a subject. Yeah, and when I chose which subjects I had to do in year 10 and 11, there was nothing else that would fit apart from pottery, and so I ended up doing pottery, and I worked really hard, and I ended up getting a grade B in my GCSE pottery, and I got A's in other things, but that B was the best thing that I ever achieved. I was so proud of that. Do you want to see some of my pottery?
I absolutely do. I am also expecting. I think every DSAT school should be receiving something that's made by you.
Yeah. 1 second. Hang on there. Okay.
Who knew Mr. Lacey has secret talents? He spends his nights at is it a potting wheel? I don't know. Is it called a potting wheel? What's the bit that you press and it goes round?
It's the wheel. Yeah,
the wheel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right, now this is not my greatest ever piece, but it's the only one I could reach without falling over.
I'm literally so excited to see this.
you've got to guess what this is, okay?
Oh right.
No. Are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah. I suddenly wish I had all of year 5, 6 to help. Oh, okay. Is it a celebrity?
No, it's not a celebrity. It's what is it? Not what is it? Not who is it?
It's a man.
Okay.
Oh! It's a dippy egg cup.
It's an egg cup. Look at that. Yeah.
It's a dippy egg cup. Why is a man like that's a
I don't really know.
Also, how fit for purpose is it as it's in your office and not in your kitchen?
Well, yeah, I don't use it every morning with my egg.
Excellent. I was just saying to them that who knew you had such a secret talent.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So sorry, you've thrown me off. So Jacob wants to know that how your job is working during lockdown, what it's like you working from home, how you're managing that, and the sort of the trials and tribulations that have come from that. Obviously, it's just a little note here. You've been guiding us all as head teachers and all of the staff in our schools to achieve the very best for them. So it's really nice opportunity for them to know and acknowledge the work that you've put into that to help them achieve so successfully at home.
Yeah. No, it's really difficult, isn't it? It's really hard for everybody, and I know we're all frustrated in lots of ways with the different things that are happening to us. But what I am working almost all of the time from home, and I came over to St Peter's in the first week to spend some time with you and with the other head teachers and some of the children, which was lovely. But I've had to realise that actually I've got to be careful not to be moving around and passing things on to people and not travelling unnecessarily. So, I've actually spent most of my time sitting in this room that you can see behind me here, and all day, every day, answering calls, having video conferences with head teachers and other people that work for the trust, and answering lots and lots of emails. And actually, one really key thing that I hope you would agree has been helpful is getting all the information that's been coming from the government and trying to make sense of it so that the head teachers can know what they need to do next. So yeah, it's been hard, because one of the things I love about my job is being able to visit schools and see children and see staff and see what's happening, and I can't do that at the moment, which is a real shame. But the other thing I've been doing in the evenings is being on Twitter, and seeing what all you guys have been up to has just been fantastic, and been really good to see that. And to see some of the running that's been going on as well. So I can't hear you.
Is that better? Sorry. 25% of Shrewton have actually been out running now. So thank you so kindly for your donation. We really appreciated it. And yes, your role has been very helpful to us head teachers, and we're very grateful for that too.
Good.
So thank you very much.
You say all the right things. Well done.
Yes, I do. we love a bit of Twitter. They know that we love Twitter at Shrewton. I'm always plugging it. It wouldn't be a collective worship video without a Twitter plug at the end. So last question then about your current job. What would make it even better? And that question's from Amber.
Ooh. That's a very good question. What would make it even better?
I think sometimes we always think that we just we do what we do, and in education it all happens so fast. So you never think about what you could improve. Yeah.
No, I mean it is a great job. I mean I've been a teacher. I love being a teacher. I became a head teacher, and that was a brilliant job. And sometimes I'm really jealous of you being a head teacher and all the things that you get to do every day. But this job for me is great because it helps me to, I said about doing the business degree and my love of, numbers. And so I still get to do a lot of accountancy and that sort of thing in the job that I do now, and a lot of organisational things and so on. So that's all really good. I guess what would make it even better? I don't know. I suppose it's difficult sometimes because our schools are so far apart. So if we were all able to be closer together, that would be great. But that's probably not going to happen. So maybe a bigger, faster car to get around. I don't know. Would that help?
We could loan you our rocket if you like.
Oh yeah, rocket. A rocket would be really helpful. I think what I want to see over the next period of time is to see more and more children coming into the trust, and more schools coming to join us. And actually having my own dog would be lovely as well to take around with me.
They're very good ambassadors for the school, I have to say. Coco might be getting a little Shrewton jumper to wear because she's become part of our lockdown essentials.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think that's a really nice one to say, actually. If we could be closer together, that would be nicer. But we make it work. We
do. I tell you something that's really helped make my job better lately. When I'm in the office on a Friday, we now celebrate Crunchy Friday. Do you know about Crunchy Fridays?
Yeah, get that Friday feeling.
Yeah, thank Crunchy it's Friday. Yeah. So 11 o'clock, out comes the Crunchy, and we celebrate the week. So is
that going to be a DSAT subscription? They're going to post out Crunchy bars to all the head teachers and staff.
I don't know how that goes with healthy schools, really, but there we are, a bad example.
It's a treat. It's fine. It's one off. Okay, time for some quick fire questions, Mr. Lacey.
Okay.
Are you ready? Millie would like to know, if you could try one job for a day, what would it be?
Policeman.
Oh, good one. They would also like to know what charities or causes are close to your heart.
I support one or two Christian charities that work with children and young people. So I have two friends who are missionaries in Tanzania, and they run a lovely nursery school for the children out in Tanzania, which is gorgeous.
Fantastic. I think this was Jacob. Jacob would like to know what 3 things you'd take to a desert island.
My wife.
Nice. A Crunchy bar. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, my wife, my children. Can that be one?
That can be. You can take family as a whole. I'll allow it.
Family as a whole. Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I've got 4 children, 4 teenagers. So actually, do I want them all on a desert island? I'm not sure.
Depends how big the island is.
Okay. And probably. God, this is hard. Maybe my trainers, so that I can run.
And protect the feet. That's a good one. Very logical.
I'd probably need some suntan lotion because of my colour of hair. But actually, my Bible would be my really key thing, because that's a book that I read every day and is really important to me. So I couldn't be without that.
Solid 3 choices. What country would you most like to visit, and what's the favourite country, your favourite country that you've been to?
I'd love to go to Australia one day. Really would love that, to watch cricket especially.
Oh gosh.
And the favourite country I've been to is Botswana.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was you there at work, tourism?
I spent 6 weeks in Botswana with some missionary friends, and I worked in a bookshop, and I worked in a school. So I had a fantastic time out there. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's your favourite subject that you studied at school?
Music.
And what was the last one? Do you like your job?
Yes. I love it.
That's the right answer. Thank you so much.
And Shrewton makes it so much better.
Who knew that you'd be recording a podcast of all the important things you have to do in your job on a Monday afternoon, hey?
Just amazing. Yeah. Good.
I obviously it wouldn't be the normal Shrewton way if Mrs. Malord didn't break the rules and ask her own question at the end. But would you be willing, dangerous, would you be willing to create a little task or activity that we could post with your podcast for them to have a go at experiencing what something in your job is like?
Say that again.
Would you be willing to create a little activity that we could post alongside with this podcast so they can experience what an element of your job might be like? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yay! That was the right answer, correct? I
thought it was. Yeah, it's going to be a hard thing to do, but I'll see what I can do. No problem. Actually, okay. I tell you what I could do.
Go on,
I could do something geography related. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it. Can you see over here?
Yeah. We can see that. Oh no, I can't now.
Drop the laptop. Sorry.
I can see.
So this is the DSAT map. Okay.
You like to keep it close, don't you?
So we will do something with the DSAT map, and you can find out what my journey is like as I travel around. How's that? That
sounds fantastic. Well, a huge thank you for taking time out of your day to answer our questions and inspire us. This all came out of our Parents Partners Week, where we realised that some of the most inspirational people around us were those closest to us. So you are number 2 out of 6 guests this series. Yeah. So keep an ear out and listening. Yeah. I will stop recording now.
Right. Thank you.